Okay. Hello, everybody. Please give me some feedback if you can hear me. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me. I've tried to sort out this technical glitch. Please, if you can let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Just putting something on the chat, that would be great. Sorry, so sorry for the glitch. I know we had a few people join us earlier, but they had to exit because they felt this wasn't going to happen. Okay, so my apologies. These do happen sometimes, and we kind of put in a in a world where we're doing things virtually. So once again, I want to welcome you all to our live session today, and I'll be making some introductions shortly. Today, we are going to be considering toxic relationship, signs, and solutions. Okay, that's what we're going to be talking about today, and it's going to be a conversation. So please, if you are watching us now, just let me know where you're watching from. If you can put some comments on the chat, it would be great to know who is right here with us. If it were to be a face-to-face session, you will find out that, we will be talking and we will be seeing faces and we'll be, smiling. So thank you so much. Great, great, great. Oh, great. I can see some comments now coming. Okay, so great. Aidia, you're welcome. Udo, you're welcome. Amicable, you are warmly welcome. And Kende, you are also welcome. So great. So we will commence our live session today without further ado. And I would want to, first of all, introduce ourselves. So let me just quickly take away the overlay so we can introduce ourselves. Not sure if you can see our faces now. Yes, you can see our faces. Yay!
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you that are where it is afternoon and morning and evening, wherever you are. So we are happy to have you on this wonderful platform to have a very important conversation. I would say is a sensitive conversation. And what I would say to you is if you know someone who needs this content, you can share the link with them. Let them join in. It's not like we are here as experts to just talk to you. It's a conversation. So if you can't speak to us, you can send your comment in the comment section, and we are definitely going to read what you've written. So let's have this wonderful conversation because this is Easter, and I know you're chilling with family, but it's good to have you here. Thank you.
All right. So before we forget to introduce ourselves, I know that for people who are always joining our live session, you already know who we are, but we're not going to assume that everyone, because we might have some people join us for the first time. So I would introduce myself. My name is Amara.
And my name is Gospel.
Yes, and together we co-host on Relationship Builders Forum. And this is a forum basically where we talk about love, we talk about sex, we talk about relationship. We help singles and married navigate challenges and also enjoy, find out how you can maximize or elevate your relationship and enjoy the best of it.
Yes, that's what we do. But let's not take much of your time now because we have a wonderful couple here who are going to engage in this conversation with us.
Yeah.
I've known them for quite a while, I would say. And I would want them to introduce themselves as well.
Yes, so I want to make welcome Chidi and Victor Akunna.
Yay! Drum rolls.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you for having us. Thank you. We're so excited. It's a very sensitive topic, like you pointed out. But yes, we're here to talk about it. I think it's important we talk about it. So, like she said, I am Chidi Akunna, and this is my lovely husband, Victor Akunna. We run an organization called Foundation for Family Affairs, and our mission is just simply to connect hearts and raise healthy families. So we are grateful for the opportunity, and we think it's something that I think it's about time we talk about.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's about time to give some context to it, to give some perspective. And like they said, it's a conversation. So you probably have things you want to contribute. Please leave your comment as well, and then I'm happy to listen to them.
Yes. So to start off, we are saying toxic relationship. Maybe we can start by giving a context or a definition to that concept, toxic relationship. Do you guys want to just share your thoughts on that? What do you mean by toxic relationship?
Okay. Now, there are different perspectives out there. Some school of thought will tell you a toxic relationship is a toxic relationship. It's subjective. It's down to the people in there. What one couple thinks is toxic, another may not. Okay, but then I think mostly used, you will hear people who would use toxic and abusive relationship interchangeably. All right, we know that there are a bit of difference between them, but whatever the case, it's just used to portray a damaging relationship. Okay, so when we look at it, then they will tell you, let's come down. What's the difference between a toxic and an abusive relationship? A toxic relationship, they'll tell you, is one in which the damaging behavior is just because that's who the person is. Okay, and then I'll let you talk about the abusive relationship.
Yeah, so fantastic contribution there. So it's about the way the person is. So, for example, the person doesn't know how to process emotions. So if something irritates them, they lash out. All right. And then we also need to point out that this is not a one in a time, one in a lifetime kind of occurrence. Yeah. It's a reoccurring pattern over a period of time. All right, because you don't want a situation whereby people be like, oh, my husband didn't respond the other day. This must be a toxic relationship. No. Every relationship will go through challenges. But when someone behaves in a certain way that creates, that undermines the other person, that makes the other person feel threatened, emotionally unsafe. All right, maybe you don't know, you guys are going out on an outing, for example, you do something and then your spouse just lash it out to you, irrespective of who is there. That might, and then this happens potentially on a regular basis. That's potentially a toxic relationship. So the difference between that and an abusive relationship is that an abusive person is vindictive and intentional about causing harm. This other person is reacting maybe to protect themselves or just because of the way they were raised. Some of these things escape during child home training. All right. But an abusive person seeks to control, seeks to undermine, seeks to take charge of this person's well-being. That's basically the major difference between the two.
Yes, but whatever the case, a toxic relationship can have as much traumatic and harmful impact on anyone as an abusive relationship, because like he has rightly pointed out, it is protracted. Okay, so it can have just as much traumatic effect on anyone, and that's why it must be looked into. And having said that, sorry, I just think I should talk about this, because sometimes we encourage spouses not to rationalize whatever complaint is put forward by their spouse, because the aim of being together is that at least we aim towards a working relationship. Okay, that would not be possible if I can't complain about some things you do. But if I have to complain about it and you rationalize it, like you were saying, for toxic relationship, it's a disproportionate action or reaction. It's a cycle of that. Okay, so if you carry on doing that, we'll be talking about the signs later. Okay, but if you carry on doing that, then it could potentially lead to an abusive relationship. Yes.
Let me just add one more thing. Another thing that a toxic relationship does is that you can put a cap on someone's potential. All right, so your spouse goes for an interview, and after the interview becomes successful, they are afraid about sharing the news. All right, because this other person might feel threatened or feel that they are being left behind, or you are letting go of an opportunity that will advance your career because you don't want to displease your spouse. That's a potential toxic.
Yes.
You want to comment on that? I actually, when you were talking, I think you said a lot of things. I think for our audience, you might have your views on what toxic relationship is. And I would ask that if you have your personal view, because obviously you said it's subjective, you can as well put your comment down. Let us know what you think. What is toxic relationship from your point of view? And from what you said, I think when a relationship impacts on one's emotional, mental, or physical well-being, then we could say that relationship is toxic. And you also said something about people who are toxic. I understand that to mean that relationship, whether it's marriage, whether it is courtship, relationship before marriage, who you are is what you create in terms of the quality of the relationship. So toxic relationship doesn't just happen by default. It doesn't mean that there are relationships that are already categorized to be toxic. And these ones, there are ones that are clearly marked for success. It means that when people come into a relationship, they create the kind of relationship they want.
That's true.
There is this adage that says, the way you make your bed is how you're going to lie on it. So if you're married to a toxic person, then it's likely that both of you are going to create toxic relationship.
I want to add to that, and thank you, Victor and Chidi, for that amazing contribution. And you kind of kickstarted all of these conversation in that light. Now, one thing I want to say is you talked about the toxic person, right? And a lot of times, and this is something that I think needs to be paid attention to. I think we need to have a lot of conversations around why do we have toxic people, or why do people end up being toxic? So because people are a part of a family, a system, right? It could be a societal system, a cultural system, a family system. And the person is a it kind of builds a lot of attributes based on the system that they have been embedded in. And sometimes these people don't even realize that they are being toxic, okay, because they are used to being treated in a certain way and they feel it's acceptable. And then when they end up being in a relationship with somebody else, they just project the same thing to that person and not knowing that, this is unacceptable, but because this is all they know, this is how they've been wired, this is what the system has taught them, this is what the system have poured into them. And they take on that sort of disposition, they take on all of these attributes, and then they go on into a relationship, and they sometimes don't realize that they are being toxic in that sense.
So maybe we can ask that as a question for someone out there who wants to get married, and the person is thinking, they've started talking about toxic relationship. How do I know that this person is not a toxic person? Do you guys want to share your thoughts on that? And then for our audience, you can as well share your thoughts. Thank you.
Okay. There are many ways to know that someone is potentially going to be toxic. I think one of the ways that you can find out is your gut feeling. All right. How do you feel in this person's presence? There are people in whose presence you are just yourself. You just express yourself. You can be silly. You can laugh. You just feel comfortable in your own skin. But there are people in whose presence you have to shrink. You have to minimize the joke. If you laugh in a certain way, it's not good. If you laugh in this way, it's good. If you moan, it's good. If you frown, it's not good. Nothing you do is going to be acceptable. So you have to constantly walk like as if you're walking on eggshells. All right. If that's how you feel, it's probably going to be a potential toxic relationship, because this person's action and reaction is making you edit your personality, edit your sense of identity to be able to fit into that impression that they are trying to project onto you. What that means is that if you go into a real relationship with this person, you're going to have to develop a different persona to be able to function effectively, and it's going to be very difficult for you to sustain that persona. So that's a potential toxic relationship right there. Another way where you can find someone is toxic is you can't share good news with this person. And like I mentioned earlier on, things that will advance you. You have an opportunity to, for example, to further, to pursue further education, but this person telling you, no, I don't think this is good at this time. In other words, they are not giving suggestions. They are giving you ultimatum. They are giving you instruction. They are giving you commands to say, you can't do this at this time. You can't do that at this time. That kind of a signal. So you've not even married to this person and it's telling you, sorry, you can't pursue a master's degree. You can't pursue a PhD degree. I mean, what do you need that for? Anything that will advance improve your potential, help you to achieve your fullest potential, a better version of yourself, threatens this person. That's a potential toxic relationship.
Yes, another one would be that this person regularly shames you. Okay, I was speaking to this lady, and she was saying she was in a relationship with someone. Every time they are out, he speaks to her in a derogatory manner. Okay, it was just like walking on eggshells, because she just could not predict him. He could turn at any point. Okay, and then say things that are derogatory, things that are so demeaning. All right. And then another one could also be that the person displays excessive silent treatment. Now you're in a relationship with this person. You complain about something, and that person suddenly goes quiet on you. Okay, stops calling you, stops taking your calls, just disappears. All right. And then you see this in some relationships where it then turns on you. You start feeling like you're the one who had the problem. And then you have to now call this person to apologize. Okay, I'm sorry I pointed that out. I'm sorry I said that. Now, that's even a very bad state in a relationship, because your relationships are meant to improve you. So if I am in your life and I can't point out something in your blind spot, then I'm of no use to you in that relationship, right? But the thing is, if one keeps doing that and your reaction is not how do I say, you're not open to receiving that remark. Rather, you shut down communication, you go incommunicado, then that's a toxic state. It's a proper toxic state. Another one would be what's called gaslighting. Okay, where someone psychologically manipulates you to the point that you start thinking you have a problem. Okay, well, maybe you'll now be going insane. The person just just loses his temper. Okay, you do something and you're wondering, was it just what I did, or what I said now, or something else to warrant this kind of display? This kind of display. When I was speaking earlier, I said it's disproportionate action or reaction. So at that point, for you to be losing your temper over the slightest thing, then it's a cause for concern. Okay, then nitpicking on issues that have already been discussed and resolved. Now, we've talked about this issue, we've discussed it, we've moved on. We're in a good state in the relationship already. But then it just comes on you sometimes, and you start going so deep into it. Oh, and this and this and this, refusing to move on from that, right? You keep making the other person feel bad, feel terrible about whatever caused that situation. Then I'll just say one last one, which would be that this person never accepts responsibility. Whatever happens in that relationship is your fault. Okay, the blame has to go to you. Keep shifting blames. It's you, and it's because you did this, and it's because you said this way. That's why I like what Dr. Amarachi Amugo was saying earlier when she talked about your state as a person. We often forget that it's about who we are. That's what we bring into the relationship. If we are healthy, then we would definitely, at least with the cooperation of our significant other, have a healthy state in the relationship. And that's why with some of these things we're pointing out, it's good to also sometimes look inwards. Okay, any toxic state in a relationship has a contributory effect from you. If you're in a toxic relationship, you will need to check, what is it I do, maybe my action or reaction, that takes us to this state, that brings about this state, and then see how we can approach it.
Wow, fantastic. I just want to, can I add something to what you said?
Go on,
yes.
Please.
Okay, first of all, I want to make a point, but I want to react to the last point you said. In other words, it's who we are that will bring to a relationship. So if someone is in a toxic relationship, the person might be contributing in a certain way without them even realizing it. And the term for that is codependent relationship. Some people are in a codependent relationship. What that means is you have someone who needs to be needed. So they are trying to be nice to people, not because they want to be nice, but because they want to be needed in that relationship. And you have someone who is like a taker, who is the one that is being nurtured. So it's, even though they are dating, but they're in a parent-child relationship. So one person gets self-esteem from being needed. Oh, without you, I can't do this. The thing about it is very difficult for people to separate it, because it comes across as caring and love, but because it's a psychological thing that keeps people back. That's why you wonder, how can somebody be in a toxic, abusive, where there is physical violence, and the person still remains? And you wonder, out of all the counseling, they've given this person support, guess what? She's going back there again. You're wondering, is she okay? She's very okay. The challenge is that there is a certain codependence relationship. They have a codependent relationship. So the person also she wants to be like the matter in the relationship, that is sacrificing herself to try to change this person, to be with my credit. Oh, I didn't give up on him. That's what she's projecting. So she's not seeing the black and blues on her face. She's not, because she's stuck to that goal. All right. So because she needs to be needed to be like that matter that transforms somebody. That's why you see some people, they have a very overpowering in their mind. They're trying to help, but they're not helping. The intention is selfish, because they have something they want to accomplish. The final point I'd like to make to anyone who is single, that if you see this point, you need to really pause and reconsider. And that is, when someone comes into your life and a person begins to point accusing fingers, the person begins to the person's number one mission is to isolate you from your support system. All right. I watch a lot of documentaries, and one of the things that I see when I watch documentaries, when like a prey, a lion is going after like an antelope or anything, the first thing they do is to eliminate it from the pack. All right. Once it's able to eliminate it from the pack, that's the first way of being consumed. So if someone comes into your life and says, why are you always talking to your sister? Why are you always talking to your dad? Why are you always doing this? Oh, this person is this. That person, and then they are shaming and they are blacklisting, or maybe not blacklisting, criticizing, all right, negatively criticizing everyone in your support system until you now begin to buy into their perspective of these people.
Yeah.
Their goal is to isolate you from your support system, because once you're isolated from your support system, you are an easy prey.
Wow.
I mean, there's been a lot that has been said, and there's been feedback as well. And I just want to sort of get to include our audience at this point before we make some comments on what has been said. So some people are actually agreeing with so many things that Chidi was saying earlier about gaslighting, and I have a comment earlier just to talk about that because someone did share her experience regarding that, and people just sort of picked up on the support system. I think this comment was like, wow, this is so real, because a lot of times you find that when you're being isolated from your support system, there's a difference between when you get into a relationship and you need to kind of do a kind of a check, a census of the people in your life at the time, and weigh the pros and cons. Exactly. There's a difference between that and saying, look, you have to 100% cut off from everyone and it's just focus on me. And I loved what the analogy you gave about codependence. Really interesting, around somebody being needy and then the other person feel like I have to be the martyr in this relationship. I have to die for this person literally because I'm the savior in this relationship.
Yeah, we always say that you can't change anyone
at all
who chooses not to change.
That's true.
It's just a thing of the person making up his or her mind to do the things that they need to do in order to change.
Yeah.
But if you want to die to change someone, it's not going to happen. And this is why we tell singles, if you see red flags, you see things you can't cope with in marriage, there is no point going into marriage with the mindset that
you're
when
going
we
to
get
change.
there, we're going to change those things. Sometimes marriage reveals the real nature of people.
Yeah.
Rather than remove the things that you don't like about them.
Yeah.
It's only God that can change people if they really give him the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, and just pointing based on what you've said around marriage revealing, because a lot of times people feel that they know themselves. Like, I know who I am. I'm cool, I'm calm, I'm collected, I'm able to deal with this. I'm not someone who is easily flustered by challenges and all of that. The real person is being revealed when there's pressure.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when you get into marriage, yes, it's a beautiful thing, but it's not always a walk in the park, because it comes with, it's laced, I like to use that word, it's laced with challenges, and it's something you have to be willing to embrace. So a lot of people are actually saying yes to what you said. Even somebody talked about the gaslighting, which for me was a very, very big point. I think Chidi did mention that earlier. Now, there was something you said earlier that someone did put a comment on the chat, and that is Pastor Sylvester said something around who you are is what you bring into a relationship. And that's just to echo, I think it was Victor that said that earlier on. Seek to build one another by investing into by investing in and elevating the worth of your partner. I think that's what he was trying to say there. And somebody shared an experience, and I really like this, and please feel free to comment if you want to. She says, oh my God, I was right in seeing this red flag. And I think it was when Chidi, I think, was speaking. She said, I told him I made a first class and heading towards distinction in my master's. And that was when our problem started. He used all the good news against me.
Wow. Wow. Okay. I also want to say that sometimes people can be deceptive.
Yeah.
So you're trying to find out the red flags, or you're trying to know if this person has those toxic behaviors. But because there's something they're looking for,
Yeah.
they find a way to hide it, pretend to be so nice. They can't even, if you ask someone about them, you think they can't kill a fly because of how nice they are. And when you now come into the relationship, they will show you that true color. This is why we always say to people, find a way to test love. You can actually know the quality of the person you want to get married
to some extent
if you know what you need to do.
Yeah.
So, and we've done some videos on that, how you can test if this is true love or not. And once you do that, you'll be sure what you're going into, not going into marriage with uncertainty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a question here on the chat, a comment, but I think it's something worth us, adding or lending our voice to. Fortune is saying, I wonder why people stay in relationship when the partner is over controlling.
Which means over controlling is one of the signs of
being in a toxic relationship.
Yeah. You want me to
Do you
react?
want to comment on that? Yes, please.
There are different ways. Sometimes the person who is being controlled is the laid back person in the relationship. So in a way, they enjoy someone giving them clarity and telling them what to do. If you leave them by themselves, they will just take time to do anything. So in a way, they enjoy that co-dependence relationship. Someone telling them what to do. The problem is when the person is telling them, when they now know what they want, but the person is telling them not to do that, that's when they now begin to talk about overly controlling. So sometimes the people like it because it's helping them, giving them some form of clarity. Someone telling them what to do, particularly people that are very fuzzy, have very hazy goals. All right. So you have someone who says, by this time you need to have done your master's, by this time you're liking it. But when the person now says, no, you don't go this way, you now begin to define it as overly controlling. Sometimes there's a story that I read some years ago, and it was an experiment that was conducted. They put a toad in a cold water, and they were boiling it gradually. They were boiling it. The toad stayed there until it was boiled and died. They now conducted a different experiment where they put a toad, boiled hot water to boiling point, and then threw a toad into it. Guess what? It flew out immediately. The analogy here is this. Sometimes when people are in a bad situation, they don't know how bad it is because the situation deteriorated gradually. It's like when you give birth to a child and people don't see the child, and then all of a sudden they just see a very tall. But you that you are living with the child on a daily basis, you can't really observe that the child is growing unless you have some form of that exactly. So sometimes people are in a toxic relationship, but because it's a gradual deterioration of the situation and they keep rationalizing, oh, he's going to change. It's not like this. He's that loving guy. And then the guy will do something and then come and make up with all this red bouquet of flowers, and then you post it on social media. And you are thinking, if I leave this relationship, who is going to buy me these flowers? Who is going to spoil me like this? Who will give me something to post on Valentine's Day? So people are having such, they have their reasons for staying. And another reason in what I just said is sometimes gradual deterioration. So people don't know how bad it is until they leave that situation and they are plugged to a different healthy environment. Then you now begin to say, wow, how did I even stay? How was I able to stay in that kind of an environment? It's like an eureka moment, an aha moment opened up for them.
Yeah, and I think you were speaking to relationships.
Yes.
Right? Okay, because in the case of marriage, you see some people who flag up reasons like financial restraints. Okay, they are financially incapacitated. So there'll be the question of, if I leave, how am I going to fend for myself? And there's this thing of okay, as a single parent, I may be looked down on. I may not be treated with as much value as a married person. There's that thing as well. Then some people also consider what would I don't want this image for my children. Okay, and they forget that being in a toxic environment is very, very traumatic for children. It can have a long-term effect on those children. Okay, and then even impact the society in the long run. All right, so it's a difficult situation for people to make. You know, people have to sit down to make this decision.
Sometimes people don't have some countries don't have strong institutions that look after people who want to exit a toxic relationship.
Yep.
You ask someone, for example, what numbers to call. Very few people know the numbers to call, like we know the emergency numbers.
Domestic helpline here.
All right, most people don't know. Some countries have institutions whereby when someone is in a toxic relationship and they want to exit, they will provide shelter for them. Basic needs, Maslow called basic needs. They will provide food for them. They will provide, but some institutions, some countries don't have such support system. So exiting such, they're going to be thrown. There is a political side to this thing. There is a spiritual side to this thing. In some churches, people are removed from leadership because they are going through. They want to exit toxic relation. That's the spiritual side of it. There's an economic side of it, which was what you alluded to. There's a psychological part of it where people begin to feel that you are a second-class citizen. You don't have Mrs. beside your name anymore. So your opinion suddenly drops in terms of quality. There is an emotional side of it where people are stigmatized. Oh, is it that divorced woman becomes your new brand? All right. So there are different reasons why people experience this kind of situation, and then they look at it holistically, because these women or men, they are intelligent people. They are not dumb. So there are reasons why they are staying there. Sometimes the support systems are not very robust. And within the support system, people are further abused. We've heard stories of woes of women that were rescued and then now further abused in the shelter. I mean, what are we talking about? So it's convoluted. It's complex sometimes. So the onus is on us not to point accusing fingers to say, why is she in that relationship? Despite all the guy has done. We need to be able to dig beyond the surface. There are dimensions. Sometimes it's how people are raised. If you are raised in a family where you don't have a voice, you say something, you tell you, shut up, what do you know? Go away. After a while, you've been conditioned that your opinion, your individuality does not matter. And then you attract somebody like this, because sharks always go for, when they smell blood, by blood, I mean, when there are those kind of guys, villains, they go after the broken, the battered, and the women or men who lack self-esteem. They know, they don't go after strong, independent women. They know. They go after women that have been neglected by the society. Those are the ones that are easy to control. All right. So those are some of the issues. So sometimes biological upbringing as well also contributes to that. Okay.
Wow, I think we've said a lot here. We've touched different angles to the issue, and I want our audience to also make some contributions. What are the things that you may, from your own point of view, feel are responsible for someone being in an abusive, toxic relationship that could even end the person's life, and the person is still there? From outside, you're wondering, what's really wrong with this person? How can you be physically abused and you're still stuck in the relationship? Your mental, emotional well-being is distraught. You feel helpless. You feel like, in fact, you know for sure that you're losing it, but you still want to stay in that relationship. Even when people have told you what you need to do, you know what you need to do, but you feel a sense of helplessness. You don't want to do it. Is it the culture? Is it the religious setting?
I think
Victor has said all
Victor
of those,
has said,
and I'm asking our audience.
What they think about it.
Just let us know, because it's a conversation that we all need to get involved in.
And I just want to say that the conversation doesn't just stop here, because what I've seen happen quite a lot of times is that people only begin to engage in certain conversations like we're doing today when something, terrible, something quite, heartbreaking has happened. and there will now just be this buzz around this whole topic. Everyone is buzzing, everyone is talking. But I think it should be an ongoing conversation. And the fact that some of the things Victor did touch on still borders around systems. That's how we summarize everything that he said. It still borders around systems, whether you're looking at the political system, you're looking at the spiritual system, you're looking at cultural systems, religious systems, you're looking at family systems. So it still borders on systems. And this brings to fore the role that every single one of us has to play in this, because we are all a part of a family system to begin with. We are also part of a cultural system. We are also part of a spiritual, social system, social cultural system. We are also part of a political system. The thing is, things like this happen, but how far have we gone in initiating change? A change that would be transitional, a change that would stand the test of time, rather than talking, you know, or being reactive now, where, you know, I know there is this whole case now. I'm sure people in our community are aware this just happened, and it's kind of reached a boiling point. Now everyone is talking about it, to the point that I'm beginning to get scared, because if I were to be single right now, listening to the whole conversation, I would be super scared of getting married. I would be so scared of getting married, because the conversation around marriage is this, why does she have to be there? You have to exit a marriage, you have to do this, you have to do that. Now there's been a lot of conversations around that, but the point here is, what role are we all playing in making sure that we are navigating toxic relations, or we're lending our voice to making sure that people don't stay on in toxic relationships, or people are able to deal with toxic relationships?
Maybe we'll ask the next question, leaning on what you just said.
Yeah.
But before we do, maybe you can share some of the comments.
Yes. I want to just look at the comments. So our audience have been very, 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 you know, conversational. They've been very engaging. CY did say something. He says, you see this pattern of no third party. And I think that was when Victor was talking about support system. Yes. He's saying, you see this pattern of no third party in our home is not of God. As long as we aren't perfected yet, humans are bound to make errors. We need the rights, and that is in capital letter, right people in our homes. People who would be that sort of voice of reasoning, people that you feel secure sharing to some extent, you know, the challenges that you're going through. And there is this comment here. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's
a response
to
the first
question around controlling.
Yeah. So I think, to paraphrase that, Pastor Michelle Lama was saying that the reason is that they believe God would definitely
sort the situation out,
make things happen soon.
Oh, I see. Okay. And I also have another comment from Doris. She's saying that over time, some people may develop Stockholm syndrome, a positive feeling towards their abusers and captors. That is so powerful. And this is what happens, because it's like you are in a vicious circle, and then you get accustomed to it, you get used to it, you get comfortable with it, and you don't even see the need for you being in, you know, having to exit that as a way of coping with the situation.
To add to that, I also think that the perpetrator or the abuser sometimes use different strategies to make you feel like you can't be independent. They tell you, if you do what you want to do, I will kill myself, I will kill you, or sometimes, or if you do what you want to do, how will you survive? They find a way to make you reliant on them, such that when you leave, you can't cope without them.
Yeah.
But the truth is, you will definitely cope.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. We've also got another comment from Pastor Sylvester. It says, fantastic insight, Dr. Victor. The shark can smell blood of a bleeding potential prey afar off and swooping for a kill. Yeah. So he also said that we all need a support system. And there are lots of comments here. Someone saying your mic is not loud enough, so I think you need to speak up. Pastor Sylvester is saying we need to engage 1 Corinthians 14 verse 40. What it is?
I don't know.
Oh,
let
okay.
everything be done
Because it would have
diligently
been
and
great
in
to know
order.
what that actually.
Sorry.
We're just saying it.
Yeah, let everything be done diligently and in order.
Yeah, order.
In order, yeah, that's true. In order, and
Order is required in marriage.
yes,
In
any relationship, not just marriage, in any relationship. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. We have another question here, and I think this kind of touches on the next thing that we will kind of to move this or to further this conversation forward is how do we draw the line? Because like I said, there's been a lot of spillover from some recent development and things on the news around things have happened in some relationship or some toxic relationship. How do we draw the line between normal relationship challenges and toxic relationship? So where are the boundaries? How do we define what normal challenges are in a relationship and toxic relationship?
Yeah, obviously, any relationship, you are bound to face challenges.
Yeah. So please take it away.
Yeah, to give it context, let's look at what is a normal relationship challenge. So let's use parameters such as communication, such as sex, such as money, the couples about, or in-laws, money, in-laws, and communicate and sex. All right, these are the core areas where people disagree. So let's use money for ease of explanation. So for example, in a relationship, there are different money personalities. We have some people that are spenders, we have some people that are savers, we have some people that are monks, we have some people that are masters. So let's say a spender got attracted to a saver. Who is a spender? Someone that buys by impulse. They just feel like sometimes they can even buy two of the same thing without knowing that they already have this. That's how they interact with money. Sometimes people say it's because of their background, how they were raised, maybe they were being overlooked or neglected, and said, if I ever earn my own money, I will enjoy myself. You only live once. So that's the person's belief system. Now the person is attracted to somebody else who probably was also decided. Maybe they used to have a lot of money, and then his parents squandered it, and then he made himself that when I earn money, I'm going to keep it so that we are not in this situation again. These two people have been shaped by their upbringing, and now they are meeting each other. So while this person goes and does window shopping, this person is having an attack. That window shopping, oh God, another shoe. This is how this person is reacting. So the same situation, why this other person is feeling like window shopping gives me the energy boost. And based on from window shopping, they enter the shop, and then they are the card, here, card is very easy. The money just goes as you are doing. All right, not like you don't have to count. While you are counting, you are thinking, do I really need this thing? But here, they made it so easy. As you are swiping, the thing is going. So now, people are having adult conversation and be like, why are you always spending this way? That's normal relationship disagreements. But in a situation where it doesn't matter, this person's goal has now become, you know what? We're not going to buy any new clothes for the whole year. And anything you buy, the person will talk about it. When you are talking to your mom, that's how she bought the other food the other day. You are wondering, why are you bringing my mom? Start shaming you. As you are talking to this, I don't know why you even bought this color. This color is not even. And then you are saying, don't follow, be like your mother. She just buys without thinking. You're talking to her son. That is a toxic relationship. That's different from a normal relationship disagreement. Now it has now been weaponized to try to shame, to make the other person lose their sense of self-esteem. What happens to that person that wants to buy? The moment they want to buy, they just remember, they hear a voice that sounds like their husband's, they will just freeze. And you're asking them, what's the matter? What did you say? What happened? Well, the brain has been suspended. Why? The person has been conditioned over years and months and years of battery.
Yeah.
That's the difference of a normal disagreement and a toxic relationship disagreement.
Because every relationship has problems. Like, you will go through your own disagreements, right? And that's why we encourage even singles who are coming together to attend premarital classes.
Fantastic.
Okay, because you need to align your values. You're both coming from different backgrounds, you've had different experiences. You now need to align your values. We're coming to form our own family. Okay, what principles, what guidelines, what are the things, what stakes do we need to put in place for this new family? Okay, and you talk about all of the things you've had, the experiences you've had. That's the clashing point. Okay, let all those disagreements meet, and then we reach an agreement as to the way forward. Very important for every relationship. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what she said. And please, because you mentioned a point around getting people who can actually help, because sometimes people need people who can help clarify, and because sometimes you don't even know you're in a toxic relationship. And if you can engage the services of professionals like ourselves, we care about making sure that marriages, relationships work. And there are ways, we can't tell you what to do, but we can put you in a session where you get clarity on what you actually need to do. Because sometimes all you need are questions that will challenge your belief system, whatever it is you've got there, questions that could get you to think. Because a lot of times people are just on autopilot. They're not even intentional about what they're doing in their relationship, just going just like that. You can't just live life like that. You can just do relationship like that,
Yeah, I think sometimes people just keep doing what they've done before to resolve the issue, but it's not working.
Yeah.
So that's why you need an objective perspective from external persons, people you can trust, to come in and help you navigate whatever is happening.
Yeah.
I also
go on.
Okay. I also want to add that when someone is in that state of toxicity, is different from challenges, because challenges are not focused on destroying each other. It's focused on impacting. Challenges come and you work together as a team to tackle the challenge. We've always said that the issues you're going through is not about the two of you. For instance, you have conflict. The conflict is not about attacking each other. Rather, the conflict is about, external thing that you need to fight against. You're not fighting against each other, but you're fighting for each other to deal with the issues that are external. That's what I think from what Victor and
Chidi have said. Yeah, and we also have some comments here talking about you being a team player. And I think it was when Victor was speaking earlier. Pastor Sylvester saying, be a team player, seek an inclusive. I like that.
Yes.
Family dynamics. Because a lot of times we think we are a unit, but we're actually in silos doing our things separately. But we are supposed to be a family unit, right? So that's a very good point. And you've also got some thank you comment, Dr. Chidi, for that from Pastor Sylvester. Now we have another question here, right? We have another question, and that's around actions. Now we've talked about these issues, being what toxicity is all about, and how you can identify toxic relationship. Now the question here is, what action should one take if he or she is in a toxic relationship?
Okay, I think we've spoken to one, which would be to find yourself a support system. Okay, and I like the choice of word from CY earlier when he said the right people, because it matters the kind of people you have in your bubble, right? You don't want people who come in there and then things go south. That's not what we want. You need to screen the kind of people you want in your support system. Observe their values. Look out for people whose marriages are working. It's just like what you were saying earlier. Okay, a lot of single people are concerned about marriage. Okay, these days you see a lot of people who even tell you, is it worth it? Okay, is it worth it getting married with all of these? Might as well just stay single. Okay, but that was not God's intent. Okay, for people to just stay single or cohabit, right? There are blessings in marriage. Marriage is beautiful. So we need to look out for people who, like we're trying to say here, every marriage has its challenge. It's about how you go about it. Okay, by the time you plant yourself in the midst of these people, you will come to realize that, oh, okay, they've been through this, okay, or they have similar challenges, but it's not cracking them. We like to say that challenges test what we're building. Okay, if our marriage cracks in the face of a challenge, it goes to speak to as to our strength, what we're building, our capacity. So that should be telling us that we have more work to do. Okay. There's a lot of emphasis sometimes on premarital counseling, but we forget that there's nothing wrong with post-marital counseling, especially because people do not invest in marriage. All right, we can go for financial courses on properties, but we don't realize that we must be intentional about our marriage. It should be for life. I hopefully, right? So if we're coming into this onward self-development, self-improvement, from time to time, we need to check on each other. Oh, how are we doing? If there's an area we are disagreeing on, nothing stops us seeking help on that area. All right. Yeah. Then another one would be, going back to the issue, what people can do. Emotionally distance yourself. And this would be for people who are in toxic relationship at the moment, but cannot get themselves out of it. Okay. There are still some things, because we like to always say there's an art to leading, even if you will, there's an art to separation. Okay. Sometimes we are fast to say separate. But separation could also destroy things if it's not done properly. There's an art to it. Okay, so while you're considering that, you must emotionally distance yourself. Really difficult, requires a lot of skill, but you must do that, because when we started, I don't know, I think we're talking about a toxic relationship impacts your emotional, mental, psychological well-being. Okay, so you must get to that place where you prioritize your emotional state. Sometimes we're big on our physical state, what we eat, okay, but we don't realize we eat emotionally as well, the things you're taking in. So with that, you have to be very deliberate. Someone would be asking, how can someone in a marriage distance himself or herself from that, since you're in that marriage? But as much as possible, you try to avoid things that would escalate these matters. Okay, while you're considering, while you're taking deliberate steps. You're taking steps. You don't just sit back. You're taking steps towards, doing the needful. I'll let you say something.
Yeah. Fantastic. One other point I'd like to share is you need to come up with a plan. All right. It's not something, I know when people have been battered, they just want to get out. They just want to get out. It's like you've been in a school for a long time. Towards the final year, I'm done with this school. I just want to get out. People make irrational decisions when they are thinking that way. So come up with a plan. So let's say, what creates worst case scenarios? If I leave this relationship, what is going to happen? All right, this person might not talk to me again. All right, what benefit is this person adding to my life? Who can I connect with that will replace these benefits? All right. I'm going to, they may cause me not to serve in church anymore. Okay, how would that impact? Okay, so what church would I want to move to? What church can I find the support that I need? All right. Okay, this might affect my finances. All right. Can I go for a course while it's away on a business trip, or every weekend, so that I can begin to develop financial empowerment? All right. So that you don't just unplug yourself. Even trees are not just easily unplugged. They need to be unplugged with care. Otherwise, the tree will die. All right. So that's one key thing. Another thing that you also need to do is to decide that you can survive. See, this might be easier said than done, because what a villain does is to take away the power for self-judgment, the power to think for yourself. All right. That's why anytime people want to take over a country, first thing they do, they destroy the educational system. Once they're able to remove people's ability to think and to be critical in their thinking and give them something else, they've taken away their power. So first thing first is to begin to work on your self-esteem. I think that's what she was alluding to. Work on your self-esteem. If you're going to come up with what they call this now, affirmations, you're going to get a coach, you're going to get something, because what will make you, one of the things that makes us who we are is our ego. this self-belief that I can get this done, and which is one of the things that is being attacked first. That's why you see a mighty elephant, all right, that they will just tie a little rope, but the elephant will remain there. It cannot move. Why? When the elephant was young, they tied it with a very strong chain. So he tried many times to wrestle, but after a while, the external limitation has been transferred to the mind. So when the elephant now goes so big, just with a little rope, the elephant remains stationary.
Does not realize
how powerful she's become. But because it's been conditioned to say, don't even try this. So the elephant just stays there. That's why you see some people, when they open the prison gates, they stay there because they don't believe that it's possible. They think that it's something worse. Why? They are used to, a bad experience has become normal for them. And they have adjusted to it that this is not so bad after all. At least I know my enemy.
Wow. Yeah, finally, so true. Like we've been saying, seek professional help. Seek professional help. Seek professional help. That you have a lot to benefit from that. Seek professional help. Yes.
Wow. Thank you. You guys have unpacked quite a lot. I mean, Chidi spoke a lot about your support system, and she highlighted a number of things. And then Victor went on to talk about, having a plan, which I think is really important. You don't just wake up and jump, and sometimes you make irrational decisions when you haven't quite thought through it properly. Something else that's been put on the chat, and this kind of applies to people who are not yet married, right? Because I know that they focused on both married and people in a relationship, but that is run, right? Run. If you see yourself right now, and Amike would just echoed that. She said, being single, my action was to quit whilst it was early because of a lot of red flags were coming up. So you see these red flags and you don't just rationalize it. You don't just explain them away. You just have to say, you know what, I'm out of here, right? You're not yet married. So there is still time for you to take that point. Yeah. I also want to add something before you come in. I know you want to say something, but let me just add this point. A lot of times when something really negative happens, it blows up, and that's like social media. And I think one way to kind of help, especially mentally, is to try and detox yourself from some of the things that people take on from social media. There's a lot of people out there giving advice. This is how you can handle toxic relationship. This is what you need to do if you're in a toxic relationship. But you also need to sort of process some of that information, because what has happened in one relationship may not be applicable to your own relationship. And one of the things that this has taught me is that we do not rave enough about successful marriages. We do not rave enough about marriages that are working. We do not laud it enough, right? A lot of times things have a breakdown, a relationship have a breakdown, there's a divorce of some prominent people. It is noised way more than
those who are successful.
Yeah, I get successful marriages. There are marriages that are actually working. And I think the onus is not just on us, but it's also on our audience. I know there's no perfect marriage, right? But at least your marriage is working, your marriage is successful. Yeah. Put out that picture out there. I sometimes have an issue with somebody saying, oh, well, don't mind what people put on social media because it doesn't kind of depict what their private life is all about. Some people actually, their social media is their private life. Like, if they're showing you they are successful in their marriage, it's actually happening.
The way it is.
It's happening. Like, don't begin to insinuate that the marriage isn't working, because the marriage is actually working.
Yeah. You've made solid points, and the same with Dr. Victor and Chidi. But there is one point that I really, really want to stress. And that is the fact that find out if you are in a toxic season. Because you might be thinking, oh, because of what's happening now, I'm done. This is it. I'm walking away. It's possible that that's a season. That is a season because of what your husband or your wife is going through as a person. Or it's also possible that is a season of toxicity because of different factors. We might not talk about it for time. But look at your relationship. Before now, what has been the issue? How has this person treated you? Find out if this is a season so that you don't make a permanent decision when you're in a temporary condition. It's really important. And think about your role. like when Chidi started talking about our responsibilities in terms of the toxic nature of a relationship, we play a part. Think about the part you've played and tell yourself, what can I do as a person to change the atmosphere of my marriage? Maybe I can improve my relational skills.
Yeah.
If I do those, maybe the other person will change as well, or see my actions as a motivation to change.
That's true.
It's not always the best to walk away, especially for marriage. You know, don't just walk away. It doesn't mean, but when it becomes life threatening,
Yeah.
you don't have any reason to stay in it. Get away from that environment to be able to make the best decision.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. So I think we've kind of run out of time a little bit. So I don't know if we kind of pull, because this conversation has to be ongoing, and maybe we can come back at some point.
Yeah, what I also wanted to say is that our audience, what do you think? Just put your comment there. I can see some comments.
Yeah.
What are your takeaway from the whole of this conversation?
Today,
and what do you think people can do to get away from relationships that would destroy them rather than build them up?
Yeah, I see some comments here. I will be reading out this comment, and please, Chidi and Dr. Victor, if you can, please prepare to give us some last words as to what we need to do, because it's been an amazing conversation today. I have thoroughly enjoyed. I have learned quite a lot from having these conversations today, because we never stop learning, right? We never stop learning.
It's an ongoing
thing. It's an ongoing thing, and please prepare for. I'm so looking forward to your final words. So whilst we're on that, you have people actually raving on the chat, people clapping whilst you were speaking. Michelle is saying the guests are indeed doing justice to these challenging issues. Thanks, my beloved ones. Okay, there's an emphasis on that. Pastor Prince is saying, powerful, do not make a permanent decision on a temporary situation. I think that speaks to what you were saying earlier. And Pastor Sylvester is saying this meeting has been holistic. Wow, it means a lot coming from you.
Thank you. Thank you for that comment.
Thank you so much.
And for being around.
Yes, I know he's quite busy, but thanks for coming. And Amikebo is saying, awesome. I think she's kind of overwhelmed with words and she doesn't know what to say, and she just said, awesome. So thank you so much. So over to you, Dr. Victor and Chidi.
That's a very good. I was just thinking while I was here. I think we shouldn't prioritize relationship more than our personal lives. All right, relationships are meant to serve us, not we serving relationships. All right, the only reason why we have relationships is because we have human beings on earth. All right, don't say because I want to hold on to a relationship and then in the process you die. Okay, that's for marriage, someone who's married. For someone who is not married, there are questions you need to ask yourself. Ask yourself, what kind of marriage do I want? Create that kind of marriage. And ask yourself, can this person bring this kind of marriage with me? That question will give you clarity. Because I have a single lady who I was having a chat with sometimes because say, oh, this guy behaves like this, I do this, he doesn't respond this way. And then I asked her a simple question like that. And then she said, he can't really create that kind of marriage that I want. I said, so why are you in this relationship with this person? She said she doesn't want to be lonely. She doesn't want to be, so she just wanted to hang on to a relationship just for the optics. Sometimes it's good for us to put value on our own self-worth. Because if you hold on to the wrong relationship, the right person will pass you by. That's how life was. Because life doesn't have what do you call it? You can't take on something else when your fist is clenched. You have to release it for you to get something new into that part.
Okay, I'll just say that we, from time to time, need to remind ourselves that we are priceless. We are priceless. You are worthy. You are enough. Okay, regardless of what may have happened or what's happening to you, your current state does not define you. Okay, it is who you are. And everyone should seek to know who he or she is. Who has God made me to be? I need to find out God's intent when he created me. There is a purpose for your life. And you're not just here on earth to be in a toxic relationship and die quiet. There is a reason God made you. There's an assignment for your life. So you need to set out today. It's never too late. Set out today to discover who has God made me to be, and what would God have me do, and set out on your purpose. I tell you, as you get on your journey of purpose, you realize that you have so much to give. Your life will be so enriched. You will find fulfillment in living life. You're worth more than you think. Come on, believe in yourself.
Wow.
Okay, can I say my last word?
Oh.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Go on. You know, the thing is, I love the way Dr. Victor was talking earlier.
Yeah.
And it kind of like, it was like a wow moment for me when he said relationships are meant to serve us.
Yeah.
And not the other way around. And you know, the thing is, we don't even realize the fact that, and again, that resonates with what Chidi was also saying about the fact that you need to understand how valuable you are, because it's who you are that you actually bring in a relationship.
Exactly.
So if we cannot just treat ourselves right, how do we expect the relationship to be good?
Or for someone else to treat us
to
right.
treat you right, exactly. So, and I think all of this starts with courtship.
Yeah.
You need to place a price on yourself. Some people don't even have a price, and people just place value and accept whatever value is placed on them. No way. You need to place a price tag on yourself. I mean, a very expensive one, because you are really valuable.
Yeah.
And that kind of resonates with some of the comments on the chat. Udo is saying, look out for red flag, act on it early, be intentional about what type of relationship you want before and during marriage. And this speaks to what Dr. Victor was saying earlier on. There's a lot of emphasis on premarital counseling. And you know, little is done in terms of post-marital, because it is actually when you even get into the marriage that you begin to understand, oh my God, what have I even gotten ourselves into? And all of these things begin to, it's like an avalanche of challenges and issues, and you have to think about how you need to navigate that. So thank you so much for putting that on the chat. And Pastor Sylvester said something here. This is so profound. He says, we are human being. We are human being, more than human doing. It's about who you are more than what you do. This is so powerful. It's so deep, according to what Amikebo said here in the chat. It's so deep because we focus a lot of times on doing, autopilot, go, do, say. But you don't really focus on living, on being. You just focus on doing.
Because what you do is an outcome of who you are.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what happens in marriage. Who you are is what you produce within the context of your marriage.
Wow.
And I also want to say my last word, which is that your marriage is a platform for fulfilling your purpose. It is not an end in itself. It's just a means to an end. So don't die for the means without reaching the end.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. That's powerful.
That's a tweetable quote.
That's a tweetable quote. Wow. Okay. It's been an amazing conversation today. And I want to say a special thank you to Chidi and Dr. Victor Akunna. I don't take it for granted. I know we are family. I know we're close, but man, I know how busy you guys are.
Thank you
so much for coming on this conversation today. And I've been really, really enriched by this conversation. And I want to say thank you to you and to all our audience, to all the people on the chat. It's been amazing to have you guys join us today. So thank you for having us. It's been an interesting conversation. We've thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. Amazing. There's been a lot of show of love here for you guys. Oh, so people clapping. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. So thank you so much. And Pastor Princess, thanks for joining in. Wow, you're here. She said something here. She says, a toxic marriage does not happen overnight. It is an ongoing toxicity that disguises itself under overemphasized submission and neglects the necessity to love and protect. Wow. That's a tweetable quote as well. Wow. Thank you very much. That is good. So thank you, Doris, for coming in. And I want to say it's been an amazing time here. And it's Easter Saturday, right? And I'm sure you guys are having an amazing weekend where you are. Thank you for joining in. Next week, we're going to be having another amazing conversation. And I would want to share some of the things that we will be talking about next week. And before then, could you just speak to them before I pull up the conversation for next week?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined, because I know how busy it is. It's time for people to spend with family, and you found the time to join in this or to be part of this conversation. We really appreciate you. And for those of you that you found this content useful, I would request that if you can, just share the link with your friends, with your family members. For those who are single, they need to see this, and those who are married as well. Okay. And it's our pleasure for you to do that. And we also want to ask, maybe you've not actually joined our community, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you would see different contents on, will I say, different videos on issues around finding out if someone is the real person, the right person or not, testing of love, and finding out the functional relationship, or things you can do to actually move your relationship to the next level. Because we believe that marriage has to be intentional for you to have the best of it. If you want to have a successful marriage, first of all, build a successful life as an individual. Build your skills, be competent, and develop your character, because who you are is what you bring to your relationship. Don't think it's going to happen by default. It takes two to tango. So if you've done your part and you've made the right choice, be confident that you're going to enjoy your marriage. Forget about the negative news around, forget about the negative couples you've seen struggling, having toxic relationship. Yours will make a difference because you've done the right thing.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Yep. And thank you for holding the fort for me to sort out a few things. Next week, we have a special guest, and we will be looking at the topic, breaking the silence. And we have someone who really, really wants to share with us her own experience, because she once faced child sexual abuse, and she's a pastor, and she will be here, right here on the platform, same time next week, 12 noon, West African and UK time. And she's Pastor Deborah. She'll be here talking about breaking the silence, how she survived child abuse. So please, if you can, and if you are able to, join us next week for this amazing conversation. And I want to say thank you so much. It's been amazing having everyone here, okay? And we will just draw the curtain to a close today, and we will say have an amazing weekend, and it's goodbye from us.